Is Benjamin Netanyahu dead? That's what the internet has been saying. Yes, seriously. If you scroll through social media, you will find hundreds of posts claiming all kinds of things. Some say the Israeli Prime Minister has been killed in an Iranian attack. Others say he's hiding. And still others say his videos are AI deep fakes. These are videos that show Netanyahu alive. The internet says they're fake. It sounds crazy, but that's the thing about wars. Misinformation flies faster than missiles. Here's how it started. A strange video was circulating online. In it, Netanyahu appeared to be speaking. Take a look.
We are crushing the nuclear infrastructure of Iran, the missile and launcher array, the repression headquarters, the regime centers of power, and many more targets.
People noticed something bizarre. His hand looked wrong. In one frame, it appeared to have 6 fingers. Now, if you followed AI-generated images, you know that this is a classic giveaway. Artificial intelligence often struggles to generate hands correctly, especially the fingers. They struggle with the fingers. So the internet did what the internet always does. It jumped to conclusions. Maybe the video was fake, maybe Netanyahu was not even alive, maybe Israel was using AI to pretend that he was still around. And within hours, the rumor spread across thousands of accounts. That's when Netanyahu responded. His official social media account posted a new video. It showed him at a coffee shop in Jerusalem Hills. He raises both hands to the camera in this video to show 5 fingers on each hand. And then he jokes, "I'm dead for coffee."
What did you ask me?
Prime Minister, people are saying online that you're actually dead.
I'm crazy about coffee. You know what? I'm crazy about my people. The way they're behaving, fantastic. Do you want to count the number of fingers? You were? Very nice. Cheers.
Well, this video was meant to quell the rumors. It only fired them up further because people immediately began analyzing this clip. They went through it frame by frame. Some pointed out that the coffee is always at the same level. It doesn't change. Others said that the lip movements look unnatural. Some even claim that brown coffee stains appear and disappear in the video. In some frames, you can see the stains around his lips. In others, they're missing. People clearly have a lot of time. And then there was the AI assistant Grok. It added fuel to the fire. Grok suggested that the clip may have been AI-generated satire. Basically, Grok called it a deep fake. And that made the rumors explode further. And now there's a third video. It shows him interacting with civilians. But even this has not satisfied the internet. They say his ring keeps disappearing in the video.
תשמע, אני זוכר את זה.
אתה זוכר? קוראים לו גיא.
זה היה במטוח, אתם יצאתם קצת להתאוורר.
יצאתי קצת להתאוורר. כמובן שיש מרחב מוגן, זה במקום כזה.
מרחב מוגן, איפה את יודעת?
ממש שמה, בטח. א' ב' זה לבדוק.
כמה צעדים מכאן, נכון?
כמה צעדים.
יופי, זה הכי...
If you're still wondering, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu is alive. But the thing is, wars are the perfect breeding ground for rumors like these, especially wars in the age of social media and AI. We know that Iranian media outlets have threatened Netanyahu. So have their military groups. They say they would hunt him down. In such an environment, information becomes a weapon. Fake videos, manipulated clips, psychological warfare, it's all part of the battlefield now. And Netanyahu fits perfectly in these plots because they align with his political story. For decades, his politics has revolved around one theme, and that is Iran. For more than 30 years, in fact, he has been warning the world about Iran, about its military goals, about its nuclear achievements, about the need to bomb it, to decapitate the Iranian regime.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
This Iranian regime is giving Hamas the rockets, money, and the political and military backing. Therefore, if we want to end the threat of rockets from Gaza, there is no escape from uprooting the Iranian regime, Iran's regime in Gaza.
Iran's completed the first stage. Took them many years, but they completed it, and they're 70% of the way there. Now they're well into the second stage. And by next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage.
From the Caspian Sea to the Mediterranean, from Tehran to Tartus, an Iranian curtain is descending across the Middle East. Iran spreads this curtain of tyranny and terror over Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and elsewhere.
The Iran deal, the nuclear deal, is based on lies. It's based on Iranian lies and Iranian deception. 100,000 files right here prove that they lied.
He's made a career out of targeting Iran. And on February 28th, his wish came true. For the last 17 days, the US and Israel have been doing just that, bombing Iran. And it shows you the Israeli Prime Minister's insatiable appetite for war. It's like conflicts are his business model. He thrives on it. He has been Prime Minister of Israel for over 18 years. And out of these, Israel has been at war for over 1,000 days. That's nearly 3 years. In 2023, they were fighting the Hamas in Gaza. Last year, they had a brief war with Iran, and now they're at it again. So how does it help Netanyahu? Well, it's the perfect distraction to keep him in power. You see, Netanyahu faces multiple corruption charges, including bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. But when the country is at war, legal proceedings are put on the back burner. The trial gets delayed. And that's not all. Elections, too, get delayed. Israel is supposed to vote by October this year. And when the country is at war, when it feels threatened, voters tend to rally behind strong security leaders. And that's how Netanyahu has pitched himself. In politics, war can be a powerful shield. It rallies a nation around its leader. And for years, this has been one of Benjamin Netanyahu's crutches. War has helped him reset the political clock. But there is a limit to that strategy. So maybe the real question hanging over Israel today is not whether Netanyahu is dead. The question is whether his politics of permanent war can survive.
At the University of Kent, increasing concern on campus and a long line for antibiotics. This rapid rollout to reassure and protect anxious students.
So just for a precaution, because it's just not worth the risk spreading it even more with the amount of chaos it's already caused in about a day.
Having been Mother's Day yesterday, we were together, me, my mum and my sister, and so obviously it's precautionary more than anything.
It's really concerning. I mean, yesterday I was with all of my housemates and we were just like looking at the news coming through and we were like, oh, it's actually like real, it's serious.
On Sunday, the university confirmed a student had died of meningitis. Close contacts are being traced, but the outbreak isn't confined to campus. A sixth former at this grammar school in nearby Faversham has also died.
Juliet embraced everything that school had to offer with great enthusiasm and joy. Her beautiful smile, her loving nature and her sense of fun will be hugely missed. We are all completely devastated.
Other young people are still seriously ill in hospital, with health officials urgently investigating the cluster of cases.
It's not something that is easily spread like other infections such as flu or measles, for example. It really does require very close, prolonged contact.
The outbreak of invasive meningitis has been linked to this nightclub in Canterbury. The popular venue now closed until further notice.
We've lost members of our community and we're just not going to risk anything else, anyone else, until we feel that there's more control over it.
The University of Kent is contacting thousands of people with extra focus on 2 halls of residence. All assessments and exams have been moved online. But there is huge worry. 2 ambulances were called as precaution to this student accommodation block. So far, no confirmed cases, but half the residents have headed home.
Residents I've spoken to this morning have obviously expressed, a bit of distress and, confusion amongst the situations. There's conversations that me and my staff have had today with them, asking, all sorts of questions. How serious is it? What should I do? It's just the, fear of the unknown at the moment.
Universities and schools remain open.
The situation here in Canterbury is being closely monitored, and although this kind of meningitis remains rare, it is serious and people are being warned to watch for symptoms.
The critical aim now to identify, contain and treat cases as quickly as possible. Laura Bandock, Sky News in Canterbury.
I think maybe before JD, I'll ask Stephen Miller to say a few words too, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, under President Trump's leadership, as we've seen, the illegal flow across the southern border was stopped completely. But what we found since President Trump came into office is that the Democrats have set up a system to funnel hundreds of billions and ultimately trillions of dollars to migrants that are in our country, oftentimes from places like Somalia. So as an example, ICE recently asked a group of illegal immigrants that were in detention whether or not they were receiving Medicaid. Half of them raised their hands and volunteered that they were on Medicaid. Just volunteered that. These aren't the ones who are hiding it, right? They also asked illegal aliens how they paid their medical bills, and they said that if they don't have Medicaid, they go to hospitals, they get free care there, and they bill it to the taxpayers. So they aren't paying for any of their own health care in this country. This is one example. And we've seen this over and over and over again. So under President Trump's leadership, and then of course with JD and the head of the FTC, Andrew Ferguson, we're going to see the first ever effort in American history to reclaim the ultimately trillions of dollars that were stolen from taxpayers. I believe, and I know President Trump believes, that when this theft is exposed, we will see that if all of it were stopped, it would be enough to balance the budget. The extraction of wealth from American taxpayers to people who don't belong here is the primary cause of the national debt, and this is the first ever effort to shut that down. Thank you, Mr. President.
Now to the latest on the crisis in Cuba, the island in the dark again after the national electric grid collapse. It is the third major power outage in Cuba over the past 4 months. Meantime, a surprise announcement from the regime. Cuban officials say Cubans living in Miami and across the U.S. are now welcome to own businesses and invest on the island. For decades, Cuba's government has considered those who left the island enemies. Many here in South Florida are skeptical.
We are asking the administration not to engage to stabilize economically the regime by having business people from here go and do business with the regime in Cuba.
I think what happened in Iran and Venezuela has put the fear of God in the Cuban government, and they know that change is coming.
Now, last week, Cuban leader Miguel Diaz-Canel confirmed the island is in talks with the United States. And tonight, South Florida Congressman Carlos Gimenez reacts to Cuba, saying that it's open for business. CBS News, Miami's Anna McAllister is your reporter live in Coral Gables. And Anna, he is certainly not mincing words, is he?
That's right, Jim. Congressman Gimenez is urging Cubans all around the world to not invest in the nation unless the regime is dismantled. This is as thousands of Cubans are going through this humanitarian crisis on the island. Like you mentioned, Jim, they're dealing with a blackout right now. The island hasn't received oil in about 3 months, triggering those blackouts. The Ministry of Energy says that power is starting to come back after today's island-wide blackout, though. And local leaders are reacting to a Cuban official announcing that Cuban nationals living abroad will be able to invest in businesses and buy property on the island. Congressman Carlos Gimenez shared his reaction with us. He spoke about Cubans pushing back on their government, as well as his advice to those thinking about investing there.
They're fed up with not having any food, without any medicine. And when you push at people so far, they'll start to shove back. And I would ask and advise any Cuban that lives here or any Cuban in exile, please don't invest in Cuba. You're wasting your time. It'll be wasting your time and money. In order for us to have economic change in Cuba, you need political change in Cuba.
Peter?
When you say Cuba is next,
Cuba.
Is Cuba, whatever you do with the military there, it seems like something, will that look more like Iran or Venezuela?
Can't tell you that. I can tell you that they're talking to us. It's a failed nation. They have no money, they have no oil, they have no nothing. They have nice land. They have nice landscape, you know. It's a beautiful island, but I think Cuba see the end. You know, all my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it. I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now. They were for a long time.
Tensions in the Taiwan Strait are proving highly unpredictable. After an unusual 2-week lull, Chinese military aircraft suddenly swarmed the island's airspace with 26 flights, only to nearly vanish again the very next day. According to Taiwan's military, the initial weekend spike saw 16 Chinese warplanes cross into Taiwan's air defense identification zone, pushing through the northern, central, and southwestern sectors.
26 sorties of PLA aircraft and 7 planned vessels operating around Taiwan detected up until 6 a.m. today. 16 out of 26 sorties entered Taiwan's northern, central, and southwestern part, ADZ. ROC armed forces have monitored the situation and responded.
But the very latest update paints a vastly different picture of the skies. Over the following 24 hours, Taiwan reported just 2 Chinese aircraft operating near the island. Yet tellingly, the number of Chinese naval vessels remained completely steady at 7, maintaining a constant baseline of pressure on the surrounding waters. Analysts are now viewing the brief, heavy surge of flights as a targeted, isolated statement rather than the start of a new, sustained air campaign. The timing of this aggressive signaling is drawing intense scrutiny. The spike in military activity comes just weeks before US President Donald Trump is expected to visit China for a high-stakes summit scheduled from March 31st to April 2nd, according to the White House. China considers Taiwan a breakaway province and uses these near-daily patrols to enforce its claims. With the skies going from silent to swarmed and back to quiet in a matter of days, while the warships remain steadily on station, the region is left on edge, waiting to see what Beijing will do next ahead of the US visit.
President Donald Trump is demanding that European countries send warships to help improve security around the Strait of Hormuz. It's a major trade route, but so far the Europeans are cool on the idea. Germany's leading a group of countries that wants to know more about Trump's aims for the war on Iran and when the United States will end it. Other European countries say they were never consulted in the first place. At the same time, US allies are buying weapons from the Trump administration to give to Ukraine. Ukraine can't survive without US support, and the Europeans believe that Russia poses a threat to them, so it's hard to say no. The EU has a naval operation in the Red Sea, and debate's been going on about whether to expand its mandate. Britain's also looking to help. possibly by using mine-detecting drones, but it doesn't intend to send any warships.
We strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait far more than ours. You know, we get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait, and some countries get much more. So we want them to come and help us with the Strait. We have it in very good shape. Numerous countries have told me they're on the way. Some are very enthusiastic about it, and some aren't. Some are countries that we've helped for many, many years. We've protected them from horrible outside sources, and they weren't that enthusiastic. And the level of enthusiasm matters to me. We have some countries where we have 45,000 soldiers, great soldiers, protecting them from harm's way. And we have done a great job. And when we want to know, do you have any minesweepers? Well, would rather not get involved, sir. I said, for 40 years we're protecting you, and you don't want to get involved in something that is very minor. Very few shots going to be taken because they don't have many shots left. I don't do a hard sell on them because my attitude is we don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react.
We are ready to ensure safe passage through the Straits of Hormuz diplomatically. However, there will be no military participation.
Germany was one of several US allies that said on Monday it had no immediate plans to send ships to unblock the Strait of Hormuz. That's after President Donald Trump asked for military support to keep the vital waterway open.
Some are very enthusiastic about it, and some aren't.
Trump's request follows Iran's response to US-Israeli attacks. The country used drones, missiles and mines to effectively close a channel which normally sees a fifth of global oil and liquefied natural gas pass through. Germany, Spain and Italy were among allies that ruled out participating in any mission in the Gulf, at least for now. They cited a desire to avoid escalating conflict or taking action that could imply they were joining it. Berlin's Defence Minister Boris Pistorius said, quote, "This is not our war."
What does the world expect? What does Donald Trump expect from, let's say, a handful or two handfuls of European frigates in the Strait of Hormuz that the powerful American Navy cannot accomplish there alone?
Other countries like Britain and Denmark said they would consider ways they might help, but also emphasised a need to de-escalate and avoid getting dragged into the war. Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said on Monday that the Strait of Hormuz is not closed to everyone, quote, only to our enemies. He added that the US-Israeli war on Iran must come to an end in a way that it will not be repeated again. NATO countries, several of whom have been at the sharp end of criticism from Trump in recent months, are wary of angering the White House. Some signalled willingness to help find a solution, even if plans remain vague for now. Trump said that the NATO alliance faced a, quote, very bad future if its members failed to help.